Of all places I grabbed this from, I got this from the National Review. I normally don't like this website, this publication, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
It's not a great one.
But this headline and the story make me giggle more than they really should. You have to actually pay attention to get the joke here. So it says here, students from hundreds of schools walk out to protest abortion. Okay, people have been doing that forever and ever and ever, right?
Yeah.
They have been? I haven't been paying it.
Well, I mean,
people that are in the Bible Belt.
Oh, I was going to say hundreds of schools. That could be literally 100 people. That's not a great indicator. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so hang on. Here we go. Students at hundreds of schools across the country walked out of class on Wednesday to remember the lives lost and the pain caused from abortions. Well, if you would just have, actual sex ed and, people using condoms.
Right.
This would not be a problem. We wouldn't have to worry about it.
But, most procedures use some kind of, painkiller and numbing agents. And
I hear that, actually, yeah.
I just want to say the word analgesic.
Apparently the actual procedure causes less side effects and pains than the pill. So.
Yeah.
All right. It says here, the lives lost and pain caused from abortion, as well as to protest taxpayer dollars going to Planned Parenthood.
Well,
that's just dumb.
And here's the joke, people. This is where the article gets funny for me. More than 300 students at American high schools and colleges walked out of class at 10 a.m. Did you get that? Students at hundreds of schools and only 300 students.
Yeah, that was my underwhelmed face. 300, huh?
Wow.
That's
like
300.
That's like 3 per school. I mean, if you're going just by the numbers.
Yeah, if you're just going to do a straight.
I feel like I just predicted this. I was like, that could just be 100 people. And I was just only just barely wrong.
That's like the people you look out the window and you see them out there on the lawn and you go, oh, I'm staying away from them.
What are they doing? I'd like to smoke right now, too. Why can't I take a break?
300 kids. Oh.
So,
watch out, Parkland students. Somebody's coming for that media attention that you've been hoarding.
That's where I want to go with this whole thing, is that with the Parkland shooting thing and all the students coming out of that, you had thousands upon thousands of people showing up for this whole thing and protesting.
Oh my God.
Not
all over the world.
There was all over the world. There was Berlin and Paris. I mean, it was amazing. And then the Parkland students, because they've been predominantly white, that have been getting the attention, they specifically got speakers that weren't white, and they did that here in this state.
Yeah,
I got to meet one of those girls this week, and it was really amazing. And inside, I fangirled a little bit for a 17-year-old girl that's doing more to save the world than I ever imagined I could.
Yeah. Well, and ever since you started doing a podcast, you can't.
In a lot of ways, we kind of had our shot.
Yeah.
It's
not our world anymore. Yeah.
I did not have my shot. I want to make it perfectly clear that the atmosphere did not exist. And I tried to protest as a teenager, and I tried to organize protests, and no one would show up because it wasn't cool to care.
Yes.
It says here in the article, the idea was inspired by California student Brandon Gillespie, who wanted to highlight whether schools would practice a double standard on student protests.
Oh.
They already did do a double standard because
they already tried to block the students walking out for the shooting. They tried to block students doing walkouts, and a lot of students walked out.
Yeah.
And it says here, along with being a movement commemorating the millions of children who fell victim to abortion.
No.
This movement is one that stands for all students' rights of freedom of speech and assembly. My free speech. Free speech.
You can't just do that, okay? You can't say it's about this issue and also free speech. Like, free speech. You can't say this is a Nazi rally and about free speech, and then have people who support free speech going, yeah, I'm going to side with you. You can't do that. You can't say I want women to die in back alley abortion.
Hotel abortion that goes wrong.
Yeah. I want pregnancies that will kill women to happen all the time. And because that's what you're really saying is you just want women to die. a lot, and and free speech. You can't have both and then expect the free speech people to show up for you. I want lots of dead women.
Doesn't work.
I want lots of dead women and free speech.
Right. You want to organize a protest of anything, you stick to one topic.
All right, here's some quotes here from the article.
Well, real quick, that's because free speech is implied in that you are
absolutely
that there's a protest. That's implied, hun.
Mm-hmm.
It says here, some schools have initially refused to give the same accommodation to pro-life students, usually saying it's because standing for life is, quote, too controversial or, quote, too political.
Citation needed.
Said the Students for Life Junior Vice President of Communications, Matt Lamb.
I would highly doubt that anybody has ever said that.
I would really like that.
The student himself, Gillespie, says that they are not giving me any accommodation at all except for the district policy of not punishing for protesting.
Well,
they're not giving me any accommodation except for the accommodation they give everybody who's protesting.
Yeah, they actually.
Does he fucking hear himself?
That
students
is
actually were punished for walking out for protesting. Yes, there were students who got suspensions. There were students even though that violates their rights, there were teachers who tried to block the doors in violation of fire policies, of fire safety policies. No, there were students who faced actual consequences for walking out for shootings, and your schools, all of them said, you won't get in trouble. That's what you don't think, like, what did you expect them to provide a stage? You know, the schools that allowed a stage and everything was because the students organized it and said, we would like to have speakers, and the school said, okay. The school didn't provide a stage. The students had one, and the school let them have one.
Yeah.
And here he's saying that this is not the accommodation that I asked for. I asked for the same accommodation as the anti-gun protests, he said. I was really surprised when they told me they were not going to give me the accommodations and that they were not going to sanction this walkout as they did the previous one. Here's the big difference here, Mr. Gillespie, that you need to understand. The anti-gun movement is a popular movement where there's going to be a massive portion of the student body walking out. They have to have different accommodations as opposed to the one where you have 5 Christians meeting in the lunchroom.
Yeah.
Has to be different. They are diametrically different when it comes to it.
Well, and there were teachers that were supporting the walkout for the gun shooting. And there was staff that was involved in this as well. I mean, this is your guys' walkout just doesn't get the same response.
What kind of and I seriously doubt that he actually got into it. But what kind of accommodations was he actually requesting?
Yeah.
Let's see. He said it confirms there's a political double standard. I'm going to still be out there. And the school district, he doesn't say which accommodations, but he does say the school came back and said it's not related to school and it's not viewpoint neutral, said the school district.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fair. But that's true.
Well, and a lot of schools did the whole walk up, not out, which is just atrocious. It's the what were you wearing?
But it still was a movement where you had a neutral position where it wasn't just this and only this. It was you could do this or you could do that.
Yeah, and let's be clear. These student walkouts for the shootings were student led.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when they get enough support, it behooves the school to allow them to use the facilities to organize on. As opposed to where there were students who walked out, primarily black students, where they were the only ones who did it. The schools didn't accommodate them, and they walked out anyway, and those students did face consequences. Don't think they didn't, and they shouldn't have because it violates their rights.
Yeah.
But there were schools, primarily in the South and in rural areas, where the only students that walked out were the black ones.
Yep.
And schools didn't do shit for them, so I don't know what the fuck you think they're going to do for you. And yeah, you're right. It's not a neutral position. This is one that's like...
it's super...
their opinion is we want lots of women to die. That's their opinion. Their opinion is we want lots of women to die. So...
Yeah. I just still find it just fucking hilarious.
Right.
Over hundreds of schools, only 300 people.
Right. And it's
delicious.
Well, the other ridiculous side of this is they're not really protesting an actual problem.
No, because
they're protesting a solution to a problem.
No, everyone thinks that, like, even the pro-lifers, or sorry, the anti-choicers, the pro-dead womeners, even like they on a level know that a fetus is not a child.
Yes, they do.
Because there's a simple thought experiment. There's a person. They're holding a baby in this hand and a fetus in a test tube in this hand. They go to drop them both. Which one are you saving?
Yeah.
The person who dropped him. That's the Christian answer to that one. I'm going to make him pray to Jesus to save them both, because that's what we do. Whatever. This kid's just... my
personal favorite, the other thought experiment is, okay, so there's a fertility clinic, and it lights on fire. And there's a bunch of fertilized fetuses in test tubes or whatever, right? And they're in this. And then there's also a baby. And the baby, for whatever reason, is left alone in this room in this burning building. Which one are you going to save? The hundreds of fetuses? Because that you're arguing that's hundreds of lives already. You're arguing those are hundreds of lives already. Or the baby.
Yeah.
Every single one of them would save the baby, and they know it.
Except me, because I'd be like, that baby obviously has suicidal tendencies, and he set fire to the building. So.
Look, the baby probably set the fire. Look, he probably set the fire. He's an arsonist. He deserves what... Yeah.
Oh, don't get to the victim. Thank God. Oh, I can only imagine that people are like, oh, well, how come you're not making fun of David Hogg or all these other people, but you're making fun of this kid? No, I'm making fun of his shitty movement. I'm not making fun of him.
I don't know anything about this kid.
Yeah, I know nothing about him.
And I'm not going on to say, oh, let's laugh at him not being able to get
No. I know. I absolutely will make fun of this. I will make fun of this kid for trying to create a false flag.
Yeah, and for the accommodations shit, fuck you and your accommodation.
You didn't even say what accommodations they declined.
And by the way, you had show me your organizing efforts. Yeah, and you didn't even say, like Kyle said, what accommodations were you looking for? A fucking stage? Because again, that's on you to organize, honey. And
and the real interesting thing that was in the story that I didn't tell you guys yet, but there's one of the pictures here where it says, I'm so proud of the more than 60 students who participated in the pro-life walkout in my high school. So 1/5 of this movement happened at just one school.
Yeah. And I'm sure the questioning about any accommodations started with, okay, so how many students have you organized?
Are going to be taking part
Who's going to be taking part in walking out? Oh, like 30, 40.
They're like, oh, okay, well, just make sure you're back in class after your moment of silence.
And you want us to do what?
Yeah, they're like,
what? Like what? You want us to release, issue a press release and send letters home to everybody?
Push back. Apparently, none of the schools even pushed back on the whole, well, we won't punish you for walking out.
Yeah.
Because I walked out of class several times. And I did not organize. It's just I was doing it in absolute protest of a thing a teacher said in the moment. And I did get detention a couple of times for that. But if I had, there was most of the time though I didn't, because the teachers knew they brought up God.
The vice principal knew me well enough that I would get sent to his office and he's like, just get back to class. Just knock it off. Knock it off, X.
Well, like when they stopped, like when I tried to go through official channels and make official complaints, they were like, "Don't worry." I was like, "Fine, fuck it, I'm out." And but like these kids aren't even getting in trouble for standing up for something they like, and they're like, "No, you suck, you suck."
And they just want to be the persecution complex is still
that's what they were doing,
and that's exactly what it is. They had to find a persecution complex,
right? They had to.
I can't wait.
And I bet anything that they were hoping to be punished for this.
I can't wait for the
They
Pureflix
probably
version
were.
of this thing.
They
to
probably
happen.
were.
I can't wait for them to say, "Go outside and put your flashlights on your phone up to the sky and make God see you from space." Thing that, because that's the kind of thing that they would do.
So true.
That's actually in a movie, Kyle. I don't know if you knew that.
I don't. Yeah,
but
that's an actual thing. Okay, so this is a real movie called Let There Be Light. It's got Kevin Sorbos and their whole
You've already
premise.
lost them.
The whole premise.
No.
Oh,
I know.
no, let's finish.
No, I know.
Oh, okay.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I know.
And they shine their cell phone flashlight at the
Yeah.
sky. And then the satellites see it.